Hello everyone, welcome to Learn Geography with Shyamal. Today we are going to discuss about trends and developments in political geography. This is an important topic in our political geography. First of all, topics overview. In this class we are going to discuss classical foundations, Rabjel, McIntyre, and Mahan and Speckman. Critical geopolitics, feminist, O'Twathile and post-colonial critique, territory and sovereignty, Westphalian systems and deterritorialization, borders and boundaries, open borders, boundary disputes, European Union model, electoral geography, globalization and political space, environmental geopolitics, and new frontiers. Okay, let's start the class. Classical political geography, Frederick Ratzel, 1844-1904. He is the father of political geography, coined Lebensraum. Lebensraum means living space in German word. Okay, organic state theory. State is like a living organism needing space to grow. 7 laws of state growth, influence on social Darwinism, key work, political geography. That means political geography, 1817. Halford McKinnon, 1861-1947. Heartland theory, 1904-1919. Who rules East Europe, commands the heartland. Pivot area, that means Eurasian interior, and World Island, include Europe, Asia, and Africa. Democratic Ideals and Reality, 1919. Strategic Geography, Influence Cold War, Containment Policy. Alfred T. Mahan, 1840-1914. Sea Power Theory, Control of Seas, Global Dominance, The Influence of Sea Power Upon History, 1890. Advocates for Strong Navy and Strategically Located Coaling Stations, Foundation of U.S. Naval Expansion Strategy. Nicholas Speckman, 1893-1943, Rimland Theory, Counter to Mackinder's Heartland, America's Strategy in World Politics, 1942. Who controls the Rimland, rules Eurasia, Peripheral Coastal Regions, key basis for U.S. containment policy during Cold War. Critical geopolitics, a postmodern term. Critical geopolitics deconstructs how geographical knowledge is produced and used to justify state power. It shifts from objective spatial analysis to examining the politics of geographical representations. Key concepts: formal geopolitics, systematic geopolitical theories by academics like McIntyre, Speckman. Practical geopolitics, statecraft and foreign policy documents, geopolitical reasoning in policy. Popular geopolitics, geopolitics in media, films, novels, public representations of space. Feminist geopolitics challenges masculinist state-centric view, everyday lived experience. Post-colonial geopolitics critics Eurocentric geopolitical imagination, subaltern voices. Anti-geopolitics resistance movements that challenge dominant geopolitical narratives. Key theorists and works: O'Twathile. Critical geopolitics, 1996, coined the field discourse analysis of geopolitics. John Agnew, critique territorial threat, hegemony and geopolitical order. Simon Delby, environmental security, critical security studies. Gladys Dodds, geopolitics and popular culture, film and media analysis. Centeria Anloy, feminist international relationship, bananas, biases and bias. Bases, bananas, biases and bias, gender geopolitics. David Harvey, Marxist geography, spatial fix and accumulation by disposition. Territory, state and sovereignty. Westphalian system, Peace of Westphalia, 1948, foundation of modern state system, principles, territorial integrity, non-interference, sovereign equality, codified in UN Charter, Article 2, currently challenged by humanitarian intervention doctrine. Deterritorialization. Globalization erodes the link between territory and state authority. TNCs, NGOs, migration, digital flows, weaken territorial sovereignty. Apadurai, post-national imagination, flows of people, ideas, capital transcend borders. Re-territorialization, simultaneous rescaling of territory, powers devolving to sub-state regions, Scotland, Catalonia, and upward to supranational bodies, European Union, Asia. New forms of territorial governance emerged at multiple scales. Sovereignty key dimensions: internal sovereignty, supreme authority within a territory, monopoly on legitimate use of force, waiver. External sovereignty, recognition by states, legal or equality in international systems. Popular sovereignty, authority derived from the people, base of democratic legitimacy. Conditional sovereignty, R2P doctrine, sovereignty versus sovereignty as responsibility, not just right. Borders, boundaries and frontiers. Frontiers, a zone of transition, not a line. Historically, areas of expansion. Example: American West, colonial peripheries. Now largely obsolete as political concept. Boundary, a precise line delimiting state jurisdiction, may be antecedent, subsequent, superimposed, relict, or relic. Hartson's classification. Border, sociological concept emphasizing the lived experience at boundary zones, includes borderlands, culture, cross-border communities, and checkpoints. Classification of boundaries: antecedent boundaries drawn before significant settlement, example 49th parallel US-Canada. Subsequent boundaries evolved with cultural ethnic landscape. Most European boundaries superimposed boundary imposed ignoring cultural patterns. Colonial Africa scribes Picot. Relic boundary no longer functions politically, but traces remain. Old Berlin Wall. Geometric boundary based on latitude, longitude lines. Africa and US, Canada, West. Physical national boundary, reverse mountains, deserts as boundary markers. Contemporary trends: European model. De facto borders, borderless space within member states, post-Soviet borders. Border walls, post-9/11, securitization, US-Mexico wall, Israel-West Bank barrier, India-Bangladesh, France. Maritime boundaries in UNCLOS 1982, 2012 NM Territorial Sea, 1222 200 NM EEZ, South China Sea disputes. Open borders debate, currents, cosmopolitan arguments versus Alger communitarian difference. Cross-border regions, Euro regions, transboundary governance, borderland economics. Post-colonial boundaries, UTI, postsidentist jurists, inherited colonial lines upheld by African Union. Electoral geography. Electoral geography studies the spatial distribution of electoral behavior, delimitation of constituencies, and geographic influence on voting patterns. It connects political representation to territorial organization. Gerrymandering and delimitation. Gerrymandering, manipulation of constituency boundaries to benefit a party. Term from Elbris Gary 1812. Types: packing, concentrating opposition and cracking, splitting opposition. Malapportionment, unequal population distribution across constituencies, open one person one vote principle violated. Indian delimitation exercise address this. Delimiting Commission, India Delimitation Act, Independent Commission to redo Parliament Assembly seats, last exercise 2008, Jammu and Kashmir 2020. Proportional representation, party list of STB systems, reflects both share geographically. Germany's mixed member PR reduces geographic biases. Spatial voting and Psephology. Neighborhood effects, Butler and Stokes, voter influenced by dominant political culture of territory, their locality, contagion effect in voting patterns. Urban-rural divide, classic global patterns, cities vote liberal left, rural areas conservative right, evident in USA, UK and India. Ecological fallacy, Robinson 1950, cannot infer individual behaviors from aggregate area data, critical methodological warning. Floating voter geography, swing constituencies, psephology, marginal seats determine electoral outcomes, Indian swing states analysis. Globalization and political space. Rescaling of state. Both Jessop's strategic relational approach, state rescaling upward, European Union ASEAN, downward regional level of devolution, and outward PPPs, global governance. Neil Brenner, globalization, simultaneous globalization and localization of political power, hollow state hypothesis, sovereignty redistribution but not extinguished. Global cities and political geography, Saskia Sassen, global cities as command and control centers of global economy. Cities bypassing nation states in global diplomacy, C43 cities climate accords, citizen versus nationalism, urban voting blocks shaping national politics. Regionalisms and sub-state nationalism, Scotland, Catalonia, Quebec, sub-state national movements challenging unitary state model. European Union as model of peace, post-sovereign political space, subsidiarity principle, Africa regional bodies, AU, ESOR was SADC, getting political supra-space. Transnational governance, UN, WTO, IMF, World Bank, multilateral governance, eroding exclusive state sovereignty, global civil society, NGOs and INGOs, operating across boundaries, James Rosneau, governance without government, multi-centric world politics. Environmental geopolitics. The nexus of environment, resources and geopolitics is one of the fastest growing subfield in political geography, driven by climate change, resource scarcity and ecological conflict. Climate geopolitics, climate change as threat multiplier, Pentagon 2014 report, low-lying states, Tuvalu and Maldives, existential territorial threats, stateless peoples. Arctic geopolitics, melting sea ice opens new shipping routes and resource assets, Russia, Canada, USA and Norway. UNFCCC, Paris Agreement, multilateral governance of climate state. Research geopolitics, Clarice Resource Wars 2001, conflict over oil, gas, water and rare earths. Petro geopolitics, Middle East, Caspian Basin, South China Sea, water wars, Nile, Ethiopian, Egypt, Mekong, India's basin disputes, critical minerals for green transition, lithium, cobalt, creating new geopolitical flashpoints. Political ecology pits and watch power relations in human-environment interaction, environmental justice movements challenging unequal burden of ecological harm, securitization of environment, military involvement in disaster response and resource protection, eco-regions versus state boundaries, transboundary conservation politics, food and land geopolitics, land grabbing, foreign acquisition of agricultural land in Africa, SA by Gulf states, China, food security as strategic concern, export bans as geopolitical weapons, GMO politics and agriculture sovereignty debates, farmland sovereignty movements, La Via Campesina. New frontiers in political geography, cyberspace and digital sovereignty, internet as contested political space, data governance as sovereign concern, digital sovereignty, states asserting control over data flows, China's Great Firewall, European Union, GDPR. Cyber warfare is geopolitical as geopolitical tool, state-sponsored hacking, and splinternet, fragmentation of global internet along national lines. Outer space geopolitics, outer space territory, 1967, spaces province of all mankind, no national appropriation. New space race, USA, China, Russia, European Union, India, UAE competing for lunar, Mars presence. Commercial space, SpaceX, Blue Origin, private actors in geopolitical space, satellite weaponization, and the satellite ASAT capabilities as strategic deterrent. Geopolitics of the body, scale of the body, feminist geography, biopolitics, Foucault, Agamben, refugee bodies, camps as territorial exception, statelessness, biometric borders, fingerprint, facial recognition at checkpoints, health geopolitics, COVID-19 and vaccine, nationalism, pandemic as geopolitical tool. Post-colonial and decolonial trends, decolonization of cartography, counter-mapping, indigenous spatial claims, geopolitics from the global south, outer geopolitical immigration, imaginations, Jomo Kenyatta phenomenon, local land disposition and political geography, global south coalition politics, BRICS, G77, challenging liberal world order. The key thinkers at a glance, thinker as nationality, concept, key work and significance. Friedrich Ratzel, nationality German, concept Lebensraum, organic state, key work policy geography, 1897, and significance founded political geography. Alfred Mackinder, British, Heartland theory, democratic ideals, 1919, Cold War strategy bias. Basis, A. Mahan, American, sea power theory, sea power, 1890, naval strategy, US imperialism. Ernst Beckmann, Dutch, American, Rimland theory, American strategy, 1942, NATO and containment rationally. Richard Hudson, American, functional approach, nature of geography, 1939, centrifugal forces. G.O. Twaddell, Irish, critical geopolitics, 1996, discourse analysis turn. G. Agnew, British American, territorial trap, mastering space, 1995, silence state concentrism. Saskatchewan, Dutch and American, global critics, global city, 1991, rescaling of global economy. David Harvey, British, spatial fix, condition of postmodernity, Marxist political geography. M. Foucault, French, biopolitics, governmentality, discipline, and punish, power space relationship. Okay, most known terms for UGC NET exam perspective. Sutter belt, that means region caught between powerful states, geopolitical instability zone, according to Cohen. Buffer state, weak state between two hostile powers, absorbing conflict. Enclaves and exclaves, territory surrounded by another state, separated from main territory. Irredentism, claim to territory on ethnic historical grounds, India, Pakistan, and Kashmir. Balkanization, fragmentation into small hostile units post-Yugoslavia. Federalism, division of sovereignty between central and subnational units. Primacity, city disproportionately larger than others, political economic dominance. Centrifugal forces dividing the states, ethnic conflict, separation, economic disparity. Centripetal forces focus uniting the states, shared culture, strong institution. And shock point, strategic narrow paces controlling movement, Hormuz and Malacca. UGC NET exam tips, focus on linking theories to their concept. MCQs often test this directly. No years, Westphalia 1948, UNCLOS 1982, Paris Agreement 2005, Outer Space Treaty 1967. Distinguish Mackinder's Heartland versus Speckland Rimland, a frequent confusion. Critical geopolitics, electoral geography, India specific delimitation commission, Article 3 formation of states, northeastern boundary issues, northeast boundary issues, state issues. Environmental questions are increasing, climate, water, waste, earth, all fair games. Scale matters, body, local, national, global. Understand is geographical scale and pair concepts. Deterritorialization, always explain both. Okay, political geography has evolved from classical environment determinism, Rajel Mackinder to critical feminist and post-colonial approaches. Territorial and sovereignty remain central but are increasingly rescaled upward to supranational bodies and downward to regional governments. Boundaries are not just lines on maps but social constructs. Their meanings are contested, politicized, and historical produced. Electoral geography reveals how space structures, representation, gerrymandering, neighborhood effects, and urban-rural divides shape democracy. Globalization produced new political geographies, global-sized transnational governance, and digital sovereignty challenge traditional state-centric models. New frontiers, cyberspace, outer space, and the body extend political geography beyond physical territory into 21st century challenges. Okay, that's all for today. If you have any doubt and query, just let me know in the comment section. Let me in the comment section, and don't forget to subscribe the channel to get the update and our recommended classes. Okay, thanks for watching. Keep watching. Thank you.